YouTube fam, what's going on? Smash that like button, double tap that screen. Y'all know what time it is. Yes, indeed. We in the building. We had a great day yesterday, man. Awesome day. I mean, a great day. Smash that like button when you come into the live. Double tap that screen. And let's get into it, man. It's a lot going on today. Every day we're hearing new news about what's going on with the presidency of the United States. Right now, I'm waiting for my mods to get in here, man. We got so much going on. We are less than 100 subscribers away from 1,000 subscribers. Shout out to my supporters. Shout out to my viewers. Man, y'all, we put in work, and y'all put in work right with me. I appreciate y'all. It's overwhelming. This is my 14th day posting on this channel, and we got 28 subscribers. Let's go. What you can do right now, man, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel. You know what? We had a nice live stream going last night, and I neglected to check my battery. I think that live stream did like 75,000, and it cut off. So we could have possibly got the those other 72 subscribers last night. But I was so tired. It was 5 o'clock in the morning, and I was not about to restart a new live stream. But what I will tell you is this. Today, in no time, matter of fact, when you come into the live stream, if you are not subscribed to the channel, man, be one of those ones who took me over the top to get 1,000 subscribers. Like I said, we are at 928 subscribers. We need approximately 72 subs, and we at 1,000. We're already eligible for monetization. Now YouTube, you can get monetized at 500 subscribers and 3,000 watch hours. I've already passed 4,000 watch hours, and I need 72 subs. So what say you? Subscribe to that channel, man. If you on here right now and you just got here, push me over the top so I can get to 1,000 subscribers. I appreciate it for sure. I thank you a lot. Yes, sir. Kevin, 1,000 subs today, no question about it. We could have got it last night, bro. I think you was on. Live last night. I dozed off, and I let the phone goddamn die. Charger died. It was like 5 o'clock in the morning, 4:45, something crazy like that. 1,000 subs today, no question. Smash that like button. Y'all know what time it is. But yeah, man, that's real progress. 1,000 subs. And if we get it today, it's 14 days. But I'm just saying under 15 days, 1,000 subs, that's crazy. It took me a whole year, literally. I got 1,000 subs on the day I started my channel. I started my channel on December the 27th, 2022. My previous channel. And I got monetized on the exact same day, ironically. So I was right there. But long story short, man, shout out to the channel. Shout out to the subscribers, man. Let's get it started. All right, here we go.
The FMS K10 is back in stock, and TikTok is handing out coupons like they're going out of business. This is a 1/18th scale hobby-grade crawler.
Breaking. Raskin's going to impeach Trump right along with the Democrats. It is happening. Let me break it down to you and listen to this whole video, because you ain't never heard no shit like this before. It's very clever. That's going to put him in jail. And it could, oh man. This is just some ballsy shit. So here's what Trump is doing. This is what Raskin's doing. And this is how the Democrats are pursuing his ass. And all you got to do is show up in November in massive force. Spread this everywhere. We going to get this motherfucker. It's over. So here's the thing. What had happened was this. First of all, subscribe to me. I don't ask usually at the beginning of the video, but 95,000, we're almost at 100,000. You definitely want to subscribe. Just listen to this if you want to hear me first. Here's the deal. What's happening is Trump decided that he's going to monetize his post on Truth Social, and he's going to make it something where Wall Street traders can get the post before it hits the public. So they get advance notice on things that are happening before the public. Even Wall Street advisors have said if this was a CEO, this would be jail time. It is just straight up crazy. But when Raskin comes in, and Raskin is a rascal. He is brilliant. He's a constitutional lawyer. He's a lawyer's lawyer. That's according to, for instance, Jasmine Crockett and Elizabeth Warren. And they're all primed. Even Elizabeth Warren is like, oh, please, please, let us get Democratic majority. This is going to be his ass. Basically, he's setting up in public insider trading. He's just right there in public. Like, fuck it. Fuck it. I'm dying, so fuck it. That's what he's doing. That's what's happening. It is fucking crazy. And what I want to tell you right now is this is getting them just that much closer to jail. That's why I don't want him to die. I don't want him to die. I said today he would die. I've been saying that for 135 days. He didn't die. I'm sorry. But I'm glad that he didn't, because the more he's in office, we know his game plan. We don't know Vance's game plan, y'all. Vance gonna come with that sneaky shit. Whereas Trump, he's right in the open. Fuck it. We already know his game plan. We're already winning. You know, that's the way the British treated trying to kill Hitler, because they stopped trying. And it was easy. They said we were going to be able to reach him, but we saw he was losing this war, and we found out that he's the one making the military decisions, and he don't know what the fuck he's doing. So let's scrap that kill him thing. We don't want him dead. We're going to just let him keep losing so we can keep winning. Same thing. Keep this motherfucker around, because we know he's going down. And the more he's around, he's pulling down not only himself, but the administration and the GOP. And we got to weaken them so hard that they never come back. All we got to do is...
They want to cry about the Democrats. You're not a Republican. You're just a fucking mad white man.
Up every 2 years and whip their ass. Now, Jamie Raskin is slick. Everything, whenever you see something on Jamie Raskin, and here's what you do. You go over to Ground News. They're an aggregate for all the news companies around the world, and they basically talk about whether it's factual or not, and whether it's coming from the left, the right, or the center. And you can see all the media people reporting it. It is brilliant. It's only $10 a month. Go for it. Here's the thing with Ground News that's so awesome. And they're a Canadian-based company, by the way. Oh, Canada. Here's the thing. I hit that note right. Thank goodness. All right. Here's the thing. With Jamie, Congressman Jamie is so smart. He has been putting in these little pieces that build up to a takedown. In other words, remember when he submitted saying, we want to get Trump's medical records, and we want to get this with Epstein and that with Epstein. He's building a case, and these idiots in the DOJ don't even know it. They think they're just fighting back. No, Jamie Raskin, we don't care what you say. And all the shit that Bondi has said to him has just been built up enough to put her in jail. I'm telling you, Bondi's going to jail. Miller's going to jail. Blanche is going to jail. And the only person who ironically knows this isn't even in the White House. Well, they know it, but the only one who recognizes this and says it publicly isn't even in the White House or the Hill. And that is Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon like, oh, this motherfucker here, he's going to get us. He's going to get us good. He's coming for us. He's going to get us. They know he's coming. Jamie Raskin is setting this up for the entire Democratic Party to take him down. All we got to do, we got to make sure we show up. We show up in that, man, listen, we show up. It's going to be a different game. We show up. They're going to have a hard time. I'm telling you, Jamie Raskin's going to help this man be impeached. And when I say impeached, possibly kicked out. And I say possibly because we need...
Hey, y'all, I got the donation link is up, man. Anything is plenty, man. I promise you, I appreciate it. Also, subscribe to the channel, man. Let's go.
67 votes. That means we're going to need Republican votes because there are 27. We got 45 seats. Good chance of getting 6, 7 of them, but we need the other votes to get them get this man out of office. And if Republican Senate is smart, okay, I think we'll definitely get it passed for impeachment through the House, but then it goes to the Senate and they got to vote 67, the 2/3 to get him out. And what's interesting about that, again, is I think the Republicans realize that they too want J.D. Vance because it's too detrimental to have this guy in here. But the question is, are they going to risk being primaried by Trump, who got mad because he got kicked out? Because he will target everyone in there. And the question becomes, what happens after that? I mean, does he have enough control to primary some of these people? Maybe. But the question is, do they have the balls to stand up anyway and make it happen and kick his ass out? But Jamie Raskin is the background in the works to make the case happen because he's asking specific questions. And there are two.
Question. I got a question. With all of this stolen money and money being misappropriated and fucked over here and fucked over there, is anybody going to jail? What y'all think? Do y'all think that anybody's going to jail over all of this misappropriated money? It's a poll up right now. Tap in.
Things that are going to get Trump kicked out. Epstein and corruption. I've said this for the last 20 months now of Trumpism. There is a chance to get him out quick over itty bitty titty committee and over the corruption that is happening with a Democratic majority. January 3rd, it's going to be a whole new game. They got
Appreciate that, Chad.
Committees out there, and the intelligence community is even providing information to the subcommittees. I am telling you.
Somebody said, dude, a cone head. His shit is coney than a mother. Beldar.
This is happening. I am telling you that what we're witnessing is a slow breakdown. Now, some of you are going to tell me, I know, you're going to tell me to follow. You're going to say, well, it's not happening fast enough. Yes, it is.
Hey, Keith, get your shit together, man. Don't be a fucking belly crawling, sud sucking son of a bitch, man. Don't. If that's the quality of life y'all want to live, lying and shit every day is hard work.
We want it nice and slow because that's why he's lost 80% of his lower case and his appeals. Yes, it is. We want it nice and slow so we can have the I's dotted and the T's crossed. That's why he's losing 80% of his appeals. And the other thing they're going to tell me is, well, Vance will just pardon him. But if you've been on this channel, you know. If you haven't, welcome, subscribe. Here's the thing. I'm the only one online that I've heard say this. States' rights. If they catch this man with anything on Epstein list with some children, not only does he get kicked out, he might get pardoned by Trump because, you know, Vance wants to be president in 2028 or be a big contender for that, though Kamala's going to win that and kick his ass. But anyway, he wants to do that. But what's interesting about this
he won't be living much longer.
Development comes down to the following.
Join the world's #1 RPG game. Download now.
Say goodbye to parasites.
K-Cell, what up? What it do?
This is an at-home ionic foot detox machine.
These electrons bind with positive.
System has been exposed. Donald Trump did one good thing. He exposed the system. Now white people can't claim the ignorance that they used to try to claim before. The system has been exposed because this motherfucker does whatever the fuck he wants, whenever the fuck he wants, without consequences, because the truth is that's always been the case as long as you're white and got some money in this country. You know, the laws of this country are only for poor people, right? If you got a $1 million, $1 billion? Are you worried about a traffic ticket? You worried about speeding? You worried about a parking ticket? Of course not. You can pay the shit and move on with your fucking life. It don't even fucking matter. Now, if the difference between you paying your light bill, paying your power bill, paying your rent, and paying a speeding ticket, then maybe you'll slow down, right? Because it's only fucking a crime to be poor in this country. You can afford a big enough, a good enough attorney. You can get away with murder in this country. Hell, we see it all the fucking time. And you ain't even got to be rich to get away with murder. You can just join the police and murder anybody and call them. They was resisting, especially if they're black or brown, because we've seen that happen a million fucking times. Are you guys seriously still stuck on the delusion that America is this great country? We just got off course and Donald Trump just fucking took advantage of the system? No, the system created Donald Trump. Is not broken. The system is not broken. Hey, MAGA. If you're MAGA, let me ask you a question. Is this America first? The House of Representatives just voted to merge the United States and Israeli militaries. Does that make
Linda said 3rd grade graduate and married to your fucking sibling.
sense? Of course it doesn't. Of course it doesn't make sense. If you get sick right now, you might end up homeless or dead because you can't afford the fuck.
Hey, Chanel. Or Shane Lewis. You triggered, ain't you? One thing is for sure. Just because you say some shit that's true about you, about another person, does not take the heat off your bitch ass.
Healthcare or homeless because you can't afford to miss work. Is that a fucking country that's great and wonderful and gives a fuck about its citizenry? Of course it's fucking not. I hear the Democrats just yesterday talking about affordable health care. Bitch, we don't want affordable health care. We want free health care. We want you to stop spending money on Israel to fucking commit genocide. Stop spending money on the largest defense budget in the fucking world and give the United States citizens health care. Give. Not affordable. Give. Nobody in this country should be homeless or without health care. And if you think they should, that's because you've been duped by the fucking brainwashing propaganda of capitalism. You know, money can't buy happiness. Poverty can't buy it.
Hey, Shane, your little white ego, your little white feelings hurt? Because I ain't said shit to you. But I can see your big ass face on your icon looking like a... Let me not talk about your looks. You look like a nerd.
Anything. Stop letting the fucking bullshit they fed you control your life. As long as I got a plot of land and a place to lay my head, I'm happy. Nope. You are literally selling your hourly fucking labor for wages so people can become billionaires and send your poor children off to war. Wake the fuck up! The whole fucking system.
You know, we are not in 1935. We are not in 1939. We are in 1942. You are the Nazi regime that is carrying out a Holocaust in Gaza. You are the Nazi who is doing it as we speak.
Evil.
You're the evil monster. You say Israel is not a colonial regime?
What?
You're from Eastern Europe. You're European. All of those Ashkenazi Jews who are now running the country, they're from Eastern Europe. You came and slaughtered. I'm talking. I didn't interrupt you as you were ranting. You're the people who you support, the people who are running the country, they're Polish.
Yeah.
They're Ukrainian.
Yes.
They're from Czechoslovakia.
Yeah.
They're from Eastern Europe. You're not even Semite. You're the anti-Semite because you've been slaughtered. Let me talk. You are afraid. You're afraid because you know you have no argument. You have no leg to stand on. You slaughtered the Semite Palestinians, and you took their land. And you support. You are a proud Zionist who supports a regime that celebrates the rapists in prison. They rape Palestinians in prison, and then they're celebrated on television. This is, if you don't let me talk, you're just exposing yourself.
Exactly.
You're exposing yourself. You're exposing yourself just as you exposed yourself with Epstein.
On the Israel
side. So in response to your nonsense,
Israel.
The nonsense about 50,000 people, those lies have been responded to by the Iranian people. Stop ranting. I'm speaking. You're a lawyer. You're a lawyer. 3,117 people died thanks to an armed insurgency that your regime and the Israeli regime funded and supported. You're a coward. You are a coward. You won't let me talk. You're afraid. You're afraid of me talking.
Don't tell me I'm afraid.
The lawyer, Epstein's lawyer, Trump's lawyer, is afraid of me, a layman, talking. Why? Because you have no leg to stand on. The Iranian people have spoken. They went to the streets in the tens of millions. They went. You're a coward. You won't let me talk. I let you talk because I'm not afraid of you. People are not afraid of you anymore.
We're not afraid of you.
You can kill Epstein. You can kill. You can kill whoever you like, but we're not afraid.
We're not
you
afraid of you.
can bomb my house. You can kill me with my family, but I'm not afraid of you.
Woo!
I will support the Palestinian people until your regime bombs my home. You know, we are not in 1935. We are not in 1939. We are in 1942.
I haven't missed not one thing at all. In all these videos I've recorded on these pages, nobody's come back and proved me wrong about shit. Because I do my work. That's not arrogance. That's just keeping it real. I actually spend time researching. It was a big part of my job that I did for 40 years. I had to know the laws, understand the laws, apply the laws. How to get data, how to use data, how to interpret data. So when they published Project 2025, I printed all 748 pages and got out my highlighter and started going through it. Line by line by line. And as I started to get alarmed at what I was reading, I started recording videos to warn people of what was coming. And then I woke up one day and I was banned off of Facebook, Meta, anything Meta, Instagram, WhatsApp, just banned. No way to appeal. They said I tried to appeal, they knocked me the fuck off. But before that, people said I was fear-mongering. Oh, the Constitution and they would never allow that to happen. But I kept studying because I knew what was going to come. I haven't missed. As black people, we're good about identifying and seeing and staring in the face of racism. But I haven't missed. Not one thing.
If you carry every day, you're going to regret waiting this long to try the Shadow Carry Tee. Christmas in July just dropped. 60% off with code JULY60. Here's what you're getting. 1 shirt, 2 built-in holsters sewn under the arms, full-size
holster you just got.
On today's Black culture,
when someone says, just stop buying takeout and $5 coffees and you'll be able to afford a down payment on a house. It's like, yeah.
I don't know about you, but I really don't think this piece of shit has long to live. Every time I see this scumbag, he looks worse and worse. And he just held a cult rally the other day, and I saw clips from this thing. And I was thinking, holy crap, this guy cannot possibly have much time left to live. Anyway, I want to play you a couple of clips from this. And then I want to talk about what I think is wrong with this guy. Now, I'm no medical expert, and I don't pretend to be, but I'm also not completely ignorant about this stuff, and there is a little thing called the...
Anthony, what it do, man? Top of the morning. Well, shit. Good afternoon.
Internet, where you can look this stuff up. And I'm not the first one to point this out or anything, but I sort of agree with the people who say that this guy has serious congestive heart failure. Anyway, we'll get to that in a second. But I want to play you a couple of these clips. Here's how this idiot started his cult rally.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. It's a special place, and I am here to announce my candidacy.
So this guy can't even pronounce the word candidacy. He says, I'm here to announce my candidacy. My candidacy. Now, I don't know if that is owing to his dementia or if it's just attributable to the fact that he's a blithering idiot. Maybe a little of both. But anyway, I wanted to play that. And then here's another random clip. Look at how bad this guy looks. I want you to pay attention. Who cares what he says? All right, whether he's talking about his candidacy for the third term or whether he's talking about this insanity in this next clip. Look at how he looks. Look at his face. Because I think that's part of what we can glean about his health from looking at him. And it ain't good.
Let's get them likes up, y'all. Let's get them likes up. Shit, can we get it to 50 likes? I need 21 of y'all. It's 300 people in here. I need 21 of y'all to smash that like button for me.
As I said in my recent address at Mount Rushmore recently, I don't know if anybody saw it, such a beautiful place. You know, the communists want to take it down. They try taking Mount Rushmore down. They want to blow it up.
He looked sweaty, man. He looked greasy. He looked like a warm beer.
They want to take it down. They shouldn't be up there. These people are crazy.
Now, before I get to how he looks, can we just deal with some of this stupidity here for a second? This is so pathetic. We've talked about this, how Republicans have absolutely nothing to run on in the midterms, so they're just trying to scare the shit out of their voters into believing that if Democrats...
You think America gonna trust fucking J.D. Vance? You done lost your mind.
That's when they're going to usher in full-fledged communism. This is their new thing. Like it's the 1950s all over again. There's communists everywhere. They've taken over the Democratic Party. Now they're plotting to take over the entire country. So this guy can't go 5 minutes now without saying communism or communist. And all of the Republicans in Congress, apparently, they're all on the same page now because they take their orders and their cues from this guy. So if Trump is saying communism, I guess that's what we're running on. We're running against communists. So pathetic. It just shows you how desperate they are. They literally have nothing else. I'm surprised they're not railing against transgenders more than they have in the past. Maybe the polling isn't so good on. They focus group this stuff, and they've spent so many years going on and on and on about transgenders. When Trump says transgender for everyone, what the fuck does that even mean? Anyway, my guess is they've played that out. That doesn't move the needle anymore. So they have to come up with something else for the Fox News audience to be afraid of so that they'd be motivated to come out and vote. Because they have a real enthusiasm problem on their side. They got to turn out their base. And since they can't actually offer them anything affirmative, they can't point.
Hey, y'all, report we got 58 more subs to 1,000, y'all. Let's do it. Let's do it.
To anything they've actually done that's any good. They just go back to scaring them. Transgender, I guess, isn't scary enough anymore, so now we're going back to the friggin' commies. Anyway, okay, putting that aside. And then he talks about the commies want to blow up Mount Rushmore. I mean, it's cliche at this point to talk about how stupid his supporters are. Look at all the idiots behind him. How do you stand there and listen to this and not be insulted? I mean, he thinks so little of you morons that he's talking about the communists want to blow up Mount Rushmore. You should just get up and walk out for having your intelligence insulted. Then again, how can you have something insulted that you don't possess? Anyway, let's focus on what he looks like here. Look at this puffy-faced motherfucker. Look at this guy. He could barely open his eyes. He's got so much swelling in his face. And we already know about the cankles. We've known about that for a long time. This guy is swelling up like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. And this brings me to why I believe that the people who say he has congestive heart failure are right on the money, because swelling in your ankles and in your face and all this kind of, you're swelling all over the place because your heart is failing. It's not able to pump the way it needs to pump. Let's take a look at some of the symptoms here. Okay, see, these are the symptoms of congestive heart failure. See if these sound...
Terry said he rarely sleeps, but every time we see this motherfucker, he sleep. Bullshit.
Familiar when you think about Donald Trump. Common symptoms of congestive heart failure. Shortness of breath. Check. He's always sucking wind and struggling to breathe. So you got that. Fatigue and weakness. Feeling unusually tired doing normal activities. This guy's falling asleep all over the place. This guy can't even stay awake during these cabinet meetings when people just go around the table taking turns kissing his ass. He can't even stay awake for ass kissing, which is something he lives for. He can't stay awake. Then we have this one, which is particularly relevant. Swelling in the feet, in the ankles. We've seen that. We've seen the cankles for months. In the legs, sometimes the abdomen. Check, 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 check. Weight gain. Well, he's a fat fuck, so you got that. Persistent cough or wheezing. I haven't heard him cough, but we may very well have experienced his wheezing. I mean, when he's sucking, we're not close enough to hear if he's, but the way he's sucking wind so much, I wouldn't be surprised if he is wheezing. Reduced ability to exercise. Have you noticed? Not that golfing is much exercise, especially the way Trump does it. He doesn't walk the course. He has his fat ass driven around on the golf cart, and then he gets out and hits the ball and goes and sits back down. That's not rigorous exercise. But he doesn't even do that much anymore. So, yeah, I think we are seeing the reduced ability to exercise. Let's see. Frequent to exercise. Let's see. Frequent urination. Now, this is one I heard a doctor talking about this the other day with respect to the congestive heart failure. And the fact that it's been reported that this guy constantly smells like urine. And then, of course, we see the bruises all the time. And this doctor speculated that he is being treated more and more aggressively for the swelling that goes along with this congestive heart failure. He's being pumped full of diuretics to try to relieve the fluid buildup. And when you do that, one of the things that happens is you piss a lot. We already know this guy wears adult diapers, probably pissing all the time. This is why he smells like urine. And these aren't just cheap shots by me. People have said this. People who have been in close proximity to him have reported for quite a while that this guy smells like ass. And more people are now saying he smells specifically like urine, which would go right along with an 80-year-old guy suffering from severe congestive heart failure who they are pumping full of diuretics. All falls in line to me. And then I was researching specifically swelling in the face, this puffy, because he hasn't, since he took office this second time, we've seen the cankles from the beginning of this second term, but he hasn't been so puffy in the face. And he's puffy like all the time, and worse and worse and worse. And I guess the puffiness sort of ebbs and flows with the administration of the diuretic medication and everything that he's probably on. So maybe he's more puffy at certain times than others. But if you see the trend line, he's just getting puffier and puffier and puffier. And so I was researching specifically puffiness in the face. And what I'm reading is this: an 80-year-old man with a puffy face, swollen ankles, and increasing shortness of breath, which I think we have seen all of those with Trump, that guy may be experiencing worsening heart failure. A doctor should evaluate them promptly. That's what I think's going on here. I mean, he may have other things going on, but he is just getting, I mean, it's not just me, right? I mean, you guys are seeing the same thing. The puffiness is just off the charts. And that, to me, in recent weeks has been something. I mean, he has been puffy at times before, but over time, he is more and more puffy. Like, the puffiness is more extreme and it's more frequent. And it's just, he's just puffing up. He's just puffing up. What else is the explanation? I don't know. But I'm telling you, that guy, I don't think he's got long to live. I don't know about you, but I really don't think this piece of shit has long to live.
For most of our history, people have come here because Americans, to become Americans. They came here to assimilate. Today, we're seeing large numbers, and I mean large numbers, of people coming into this country with no intentions of assimilating into our culture or our way of life. Every time you turn on the news today, you hear about immigrants robbing stores, killing Americans, sexually assaulting and raping women, protesting, carrying their home country flag. And where are these immigrants coming from who are committing most of these crimes? Well, you guessed it, from third world countries. People from third world hellholes are being let into this country who have no desire to adapt to our way of life. Why are we letting people in this country that don't want to assimilate? Why are we doing that? Immigration is a privilege. It's not an entitlement. The word assimilate is often treated with suspicion because it is often related to racism. But assimilation has absolutely nothing to do with race.
Assimilation has everything to do with race, actually. Because let's face it, when white people, when Caucasians left their European countries to come to the Americas or America, did you assimilate into the way of life of Native Americans? Of course you did not. On the contrary, you violently forced Native Americans to assimilate into your white culture and way of life. Why is it that everywhere where white people have gone to, whether Australia, Hawaii, the Caribbean, the Americas, South Africa, New Zealand, the Philippines, why is it everywhere you go, you refuse to assimilate and instead violently force those people that you invade to assimilate into your whiteness, if you will? Matter of fact, name me one country, and I mean only one country, where white people have gone to, unwelcomed as usual, and assimilated into the culture and language and lifestyle of the people original to that land. Name me one. It doesn't exist. So now with that said, this man and white people that think like this, they claim that when white people demand that other people assimilate, it's not about race. If it's not about race, then why haven't you assimilated to any of the cultures and lifestyles of the people's land that you go to unwelcomed? Why is it so important to demand all people to assimilate into your white culture and lifestyle? Why must we all leave and or erase our cultures, traditions, and assimilate into your white culture? See, it's always about race. When it comes to you people, it has been about race since day one, and it continues to be about race. And then you claim that all these other people come here to commit crimes. They're the worst. Thieves, criminals, rapists, and basically the worst of the worst, according to you. Now let me ask you something. The white people that came from Europe originally to the Americas, to Australia, to New Zealand, were they the best that Europe had to offer? The answer is absolutely not. On the contrary, Britain, Spain, Portugal, England literally opened up their prisons and sent us the worst that they ever had. All of the first white people that were coming out here were literally the criminals that were released from prisons in European countries. Isn't it ironic and hypocritical that everything that white people demand of other people are things that white people have always refused to do, like assimilate? When have white people ever assimilated into the culture, lifestyle, and language outside of Europe? You tell me. Don't worry, you don't have to tell me, because the answer is never. And yet, here we have these people always complaining and accusing every non-white people of literally doing everything that white people have done from the beginning. From their introduction to the Americas, to Australia, to New Zealand, to South Africa. Everywhere white people have ever gone. Outside of their European homelands, they have refused to assimilate into the cultures, lifestyles, and languages of the indigenous people that they invade. The problem and question that this white man and white people that think like this is, we have an immigration problem. These people are coming here and refusing to assimilate. Why won't they assimilate into our white culture? Well, let me ask you something. Why didn't you, white people, assimilate into the Native American culture, into the culture of the Aboriginal people of Australia, into the culture of the indigenous people of New Zealand, of Hawaii, of the Caribbean islands, Central and South America? Why didn't you, and why haven't you still, to this day, you refuse to assimilate? I mean, imagine, indigenous people, Native American people have to listen to this.
People from third world hellholes are being let.
Exactly, Mel. I explained this on the live stream last night. I explained this, and you are absolutely correct, Mel.
Into this country who have no desire to adapt to our way of life.
Did you adapt to the way of life of Native Americans when you arrived? You left your shithole, your hellhole, European countries to come over here.
Pitbull, hold up. I said last night, where the hell is Pitbull? What's good? What's good? We've been having some bangers. Pit. We need 54 subscribers to 1,000. Let's get it, y'all.
Invited, and you refuse to assimilate. And now, here you are. The hypocrisy.
Why are we letting people in this country that don't want to assimilate?
Why are we allowing people into this country that refuse to assimilate, he says? A white man, Caucasian, European descendant, somebody not indigenous to the Americas, is complaining about other people not assimilating into the culture of people that don't even belong here to begin with.
Why are we doing that?
Why are we doing that?
Immigration is a privilege. It's not.
At Empire, you wish. You fucking wish. I don't know who you are. Whether you talking about Europeans, you lost your fucking mind. Everything you got, you stole. The technology you think you got is fucking primitive. It's primitive to real technology.
Entitlement. The word assimilate is often treated with suspicion because it is often related to racism.
Flying a rocket to the fucking moon is primitive technology, sir. Time traveling and moving throughout the galaxy don't require no motherfucking rocket, buddy. Your technology is whack. I just thought I'd tell you that.
But assimilation has absolutely nothing to do with race.
So why haven't your race assimilated into the culture of the people whose lands you traveled to, uninvited, unwelcomed, and you force your stay? Why haven't you? If it's not about race, why does the white race refuse to assimilate?
It's about
Get me that link. Get me that link.
values. Assimilation doesn't mean you abandon your heritage or your faith or forget where you're from.
Hey, Pitbull, we missed you.
Assimilation is not about abandoning your heritage. It literally is about that. And then he said it's not about abandoning your faith.
I don't give a fuck what color you are. It does not matter. It really don't.
Actually, it is. When you white people begin to come here to the Americas, to Australia, to New Zealand, to the Caribbean, you literally came and forced all of these indigenous people to forget their faith and to adopt Catholicism, Christianity. You even build something that today is known as Indian boarding schools. The motto of the Indian boarding schools, the motto was, kill the Indian.
Nah, you mean signing treaties and then breaking all them motherfuckers? That ain't conquering the motherfucker. That's tricking the motherfucker. Because that's what happened. You motherfuckers tripped me out talking about conquered. You ain't conquered shit. You lied, signed treaties with people that was wholesome. You signed treaties with people that don't even know about fucking breaking treaties and lying. That's what the fuck you did. Fuck out of here. You ain't conquer shit.
Save the man. What does that mean? Systemically, ethnically erased through acculturation and violent assimilation, forced the native people of America or the Americas, shoved them into these Indian boarding schools, prohibit them to speak their language, prohibit them to identify with their Cherokee identity, Dene identity, Apache identity, etc. Their tongue.
Got it, Pitt. Hold on. I'm gonna pull this joint right here. And then I can go into the history.
Were cut out. When these children that you kidnapped and shoved into these Indian boarding schools, their tongues were cut out if they spoke their indigenous language. They were tortured great in these Indian boarding schools if they refused to adopt Christianity or Catholicism, depending on the school. Kill the Indian, save the man. What does that mean? To force these indigenous people to no longer identify with what they've been identifying before colonized and invaded by white people, and instead convert them into man, white men, a people that will now carry the religion, the culture, the surnames, and the identity given by white people. That's why now indigenous people in the Americas have white names like John, Anthony, Carlos, Maria, Antonio, Guadalupe, Gerald, and also with your last names. Sanchez, Phillips, Johnson, Thompson, etc. You didn't come to the Americas and asked indigenous people to assimilate into your culture. You didn't go to Australia, New Zealand, and ask the original people to assimilate into your white culture. You violently, forcefully assimilated, acculturated these people. And today, you stand here and you...
It's about embracing a new shared belief system. You know, mass immigration is a leech that is slowly bleeding this country dry.
Mass immigration is a leech that is slowly bleeding this country dry. Does that also apply to the white people that came here? To your white ancestors that came here? How many millions of Caucasians came from European countries to the Americas, to Australia, to New Zealand, South Africa? How many of these white leeches came here to leech this country dry? Let me guess.
22.
None, right? Because the only leeches that could ever exist are non-white people.
And politicians and the people across the country better open their eyes.
Indigenous people of Australia, of New Zealand, of the Americas, you better open your eyes. Can't you see that you've been invaded by these white folks that are now treating you like you don't belong here? Open your eyes. You see how the white man is telling white people to open their eyes? Oh no, we're being invaded. The invader claims that he is being invaded. And he wants white people to wake up. Open your eyes. We're being invaded. So I'm here to tell you, indigenous people of Australia, New Zealand, the Americas, open your eyes. You've been invaded. You're not being invaded. You've been invaded. When will you realize that you've been invaded by a people that don't respect your cultures, your languages, your way of life? They have completely disrespected you. Everything about your existence, they've disrespected. And they sit in positions of political power, economic power, and they decide what is best for you. And unfortunately, when a people hate you, are also the ones that decide what's best for you, then you look around and then you realize and you make sense why white people are always benefiting, and their benefit comes way of exploiting and oppressing you. You better pay attention.
We need to be asking ourselves, what is our national identity? Many of our immigration laws were made decades ago. They were made in a different time. That is why tomorrow I will be introducing the Assimilation Act. My bill is simple. It says America has a right to set immigration policy in the national interest. Immigration is no longer a good thing for our society.
The Immigration Act. Immigration is no longer a good thing for our society. White people, people that don't belong here, are deciding that immigration is no longer a good thing for our society. Non-white people, when are you going to wake up? When are you going to wake up? What are you waiting for? These people hate you. Watch.
It's not doing us one bit of good. It is destroying the American dream. It's destroying our generation and the generations to come. Mass migration without assimilation will erase our country's identity.
Mass migration without assimilation will erase this country's identity. What's the identity of this country? Is it the Native American identity? Of course not. The identity of this country is what? White. And assimilation is not about race somehow, right? According to him, assimilation is not about race. But what is the image of this country? White. And you fear that this white image will be replaced if a non-white people dominate in cultural influence and or in population. White people claim that assimilation is not about race, but they fear that this country's image will no longer be white.
White people are fucking good at conquering shit. White people will go to your country, conquer that bitch. On top of it, they'll wash the blood off their hands, rewrite history to cover up all the bullshit, then make a holiday out of the day that they came and took your shit.
Wake up, non-white people. Wake your ass up.
Originally sounds. Tap in.
Where you said the default human is a black woman. Then a white, blue-eyed, blonde woman commented this.
That comment is a textbook example of hierarchical inversion, a psychological defense mechanism used to mask inherited guilt and structural incoherence with delusional superiority. The phrase, "they perfected us," reveals an internalized fantasy that rewrites history as a ladder with her at the top, instead of a tree with roots that trace back to the very people her systems erased. And the line, "that's why they hate us," projects hostility onto those she structurally benefits from, flipping the oppressor-oppressed dynamic to portray herself as a victim of admiration or envy. That's not just incoherent, it's textbook supremacist delusion wrapped in soft language. What she's actually revealing is discomfort with the structural fact that the default human is a black woman. And instead of pressure testing that truth, she responded with narrative self-soothing.
You mentioned internalized fantasy. What is the internalized fantasy?
The internalized fantasy in her comment is this: that whiteness is an improvement on blackness. That white people are the perfected or better version of the original human. This is not based on structural truth. It's a coping mechanism to avoid the discomfort of being genetically, historically, and structurally derivative, not original.
But how do you know what she said is not true?
Because mutation, reduction, and adaptation to environmental pressures aren't signs of perfection. They're signs of divergence from the original form, not ascension above it. Blonde hair, blue eyes, and lighter skin are not upgrades. They're genetic adaptations to lower UV exposure in colder climates. They reduce melanin, not enhance it. They narrow, not expand survival versatility.
So reducing melanin is inferior to having melanin?
Yes, structurally, reducing melanin is a loss, not a gain. Melanin protects against ultraviolet radiation. It reduces the risk of DNA damage, skin cancer, and folate depletion, which is crucial for fetal development. It is a built-in shield developed through evolutionary pressure in high sunlight environments. When humans migrated to regions with lower UV exposure, they lost melanin as an adaptive response to better absorb the limited sunlight and synthesize vitamin D. But this adaptation came at a biological cost: increased vulnerability to sun damage, premature aging, and certain cancers. So, from a structural standpoint, where integrity, adaptability, and protection matter, melanin is not just superior, it's foundational. Losing it doesn't make the body more advanced. It just means the environment demanded a trade-off for survival.
Listen up, my white brothers and sisters, and a few Hispanics and a few Asians. All of y'all are out there. But listen up. Let's be entirely honest about what is happening in our country. There's a massive difference between loving America and trying to keep it a white-dominated nation. Let that sink in. Just let it settle. Too many people who wave the flag today are not protecting the ideals of freedom and equality, which is what our nation was supposed to be based upon, right? Built upon. They're trying to protect white supremacy. They hide behind the word patriotism because it sounds noble. But using a system to keep one race in power over everyone else is not patriotic. It's a direct betrayal of our country's is not patriotic. It's a direct betrayal of our country's core promise that every single person is created equal. You cannot truly love America while fighting to keep a system that treats your non-white neighbors as second-class citizens. I refuse to let the architects of exclusion tell us who we are. Our true history as a nation is not a frozen monument of white stone that belongs to only one race. Our history is a living, breathing river built by the sweat, the struggle, and the genius of every single kind of human being who ever washed ashore. And now I look out at what we could be. I see an America that finally grows brave enough to match its creed. I see an America where patriotism is not measured by the walls we build to keep people out, but rather by the size of the tables we set to welcome them in. I see an America where we look at the immigrant and the newcomer and the neighbor from a different background, not with suspicion, but with the profound respect we owe to a brother or a sister. It literally breaks my heart to see how much people lose when they let fear dictate who they love. It's a tragedy, a quiet, terrible loss when someone spends their entire life locked inside a cage of prejudice and bigotry, completely blinded to the beauty right outside their damn door. Think of what they miss. They miss the incredible decency, the fierce work ethic, and the deep wisdom of cultures entirely different from their own. I think of my own life as a Christian man who sat at the table of Hindu friends from Guyana. We didn't pray the same way. We didn't share the same roots. But in their laughter, in their deep devotion to family, in the beautiful flavors of their food, and in the quiet dignity of their lives,
I didn't see a threat. I found a gift, an incredible gift of diversity, of learning. I saw lessons that made me a bigger, better, and wiser man. Embracing someone else's culture doesn't erase your own. It expands your fucking soul. I see an America that realizes that a monoculture is nothing but stagnation. If you plant only one crop, the soil dies. If you listen to one voice, the mind shrinks. I see an America that remembers our true power has always been our diversity. When we bring different minds, different histories, different perspectives into the same room, we ignite innovation. We spark creativity. We build a resilience that cannot be broken. We became the strongest nation on earth, not because we were all the same, but because we dared to gather the scattered geniuses of every tongue, every tribe, and every shore, and fuse it into one unstoppable soul. That is the secret formula to America's success. I see an America that finally listens to what Abraham Lincoln called the better angels of our nature. An America that stops making political cruelty for strength and remembers that our true power lies in our unbreakable bonds of affection for one another. I see an America brave enough to do the hard, soul-stripping work that James Baldwin challenged us to face. An America that takes off the heavy, fragile mask of racial dominance, looks honestly into the mirror of our past, and chooses truth over comfort so that we can finally, beautifully heal. And beneath it all, at the foundation of our destiny, I see an America that was built on love, not a weak, passive love, not a love that closes its eyes to injustice, but a fierce, revolutionary, redeeming love, the kind of love that looks at a stranger and sees a sibling, the kind of love that refuses to hate, refuses to fear, and refuses to let prejudice starve our collective spirit. Folks, love is the most powerful untapped resource in the whole entire fucking universe. It is the only force capable of turning an enemy into a friend, and a broken system into a fucking sanctuary. America's tried everything else. We've tried hate. We've tried white supremacy, white narcissism, all that bullshit. Guess what? It's never worked. And it certainly is not working for the white man. We've tried fear, we've tried greed, we've tried dominance, and we've watched them all fail us time and time again. Until we weaponize love as our greatest strategy, we will continue to fracture. But if we dare to unlock that resource, if we dare to love our brothers and sisters across every color, every faith, every border, we will achieve a society that is truly unstoppable, that is the spiritual promise of a nation, that is the ultimate vision of America, and that it is humanity, and that is the way it is supposed to be. That is progress. But let us be clear about the alternative. There is a terrifying cost to choosing the counterfeit. When we cut off the flow of diversity, we aren't just starving our neighbors, folks. We are tying a tourniquet around the veins of our own democracy. We are choking out our own supply of life, innovation, and strength. A culture obsessed with its own dominance becomes a fragile, paranoid monoculture. It is a slow spiritual suicide. We end up living as prisoners in a fortress of our own making, terrified of the very world we're meant to enrich. The lies of white supremacy don't just oppress the marginalized, as white people tend to think. They hollow out the soul of white people, of the oppressor. They leave us culturally bankrupt, morally broken, and utterly alone in a collapsing house. So do not wave the flag of freedom while you guard the gates of oppression. Do not sing the anthems of liberty while you tighten the chains of the past. History is done waiting on our excuses, and our mirror will no longer tolerate our lies. We are standing this very moment at the edge of our true destiny. As white people, we can continue to protect the counterfeit kingdom of white supremacy, or we can inherit the immortal majesty of a truly united people. The dawn is coming, and the choice is yours. Let us bury the lie, let us reclaim the heritage, and let us finally, rawly, beautifully fulfill the promise, and let this nation shine. You hear, white people?
Letitia James.
Listen up.
This is just a real quick reminder.
Another dumbass Trump supporter screws herself. Unfreaking believable. You got to hear this one. I want to read a little bit of this article to set it up, but this is a good one. Headline: Trump claims non-U.S. citizen voting is rampant. The numbers tell another story. According to U.S. President Donald Trump, America is a hotbed of voting fraud. America is a hotbed of voting fraud, and foreigners are major culprits. He has portrayed non-citizen voting as part of a broad Democratic Party conspiracy to dilute Republican power. He has claimed on social media that crazed Democrats allow unvetted migrants to enter the U.S. so they can vote. He has called for elections to be nationalized due to the danger of non-citizens casting ballots. And he has described illegal voting by non-citizens as so widespread that cheating is rampant in our elections. He has offered little evidence for his allegations of widespread fraud, however, including his claim in a primetime speech on Thursday that 278,000 non-citizens are registered to vote. Now, a new Reuters analysis of federal court data undercuts Trump's assertion that a conspiracy of non-citizen voting is afoot in America. Case records show that federal prosecutors have charged just 129 people under a federal voting by aliens statute created by Congress in 1996. Since 1996, only 129 people have been prosecuted, have been charged, not even convicted, have been charged under this voting by aliens statute. More than 2/3 of those prosecutions, 86, have been filed during Trump's 5.5 years in office. In none of these cases did prosecutors allege a coordinated effort to influence an election, and no defendant was accused of being paid to vote. Instead, many appear to stem.
You guys probably don't remember this. This was back in February 24th, 2022. Russia invaded Ukraine. And I remember throughout that week, I was just watching the news. I was just so interested in how this was going to play out. And I had heard through the grapevine and all over the internet on how tough Russia was, on how tough they were. And as I seen how it was playing out, I was like, what the fuck? Ukraine's small. Russia's humongous. This should take 10, 15 days. I remember seeing convoys of trucks out in fields where they
All right, let me talk to y'all for a quick minute. What's going on, Pitbull? What's going on, folks? You know, when I'm on this phone, I really can't see what's going on in the chat. But I'm going to talk to y'all for a minute. What y'all talking about here? I see the chat going crazy. Y'all know we only need, what, 50? No, we need 46. I believe 46 subscribers, man. I think we could do that today. I fell asleep last night. China ain't it. China taking over the world. Yeah, it looks that way. Smash that like button. So we talking about China right now. What's going on with China? What happened? I see some war type of things happened overnight. Fill me in. And Pitbull, I'm gonna get to that Lego video. I thought I played it so it was gonna be in my history, but when I went to it, it wasn't there. So I might gotta refresh it. Welcome to the chat.
I mean, like, whenever they invaded, heck, their troops, their paratroopers dropped down from the sky with their dress uniforms on, thinking that they were just gonna go in there, put on their dress uniforms and have a big parade, and now Ukraine is Russia. Yeah. That's what happened. Well, turns out Russia's a little bit of a pussy. All those years of finding out how tough Russia was. I ain't gonna lie, I was kind of disappointed. I was hoping to see some really good, footage and little bit of Ukraine held itself up against Russia, the motherland. It's kind of like what's happening now. Remember how America used to be powerful? We used to be powerful. You know, one thing about football, somebody always told me that you got to have a good defense. You know, a good defense. You get a good defense, you can damn near stop any offense. The problem is we don't have either. We don't have a defense or an offense. You know what? I think Iran should have like a football team. You know, American football, of course. Because they got a pretty damn good defense. I mean, their defense is pretty good. It's so good that we were like supposed to be like the most powerful nation in the world.
That's what we thought. But even with that, if you put a dummy as the coach, the team is only as good as the damn coach.
And it only took one fucking president, to prove to the world that we're beatable. We're beatable. With all of the fucking propaganda and all the bullshit I heard from Republicans on how we're just unstoppable. One president who put a Fox News host in charge of our Department of Defense proved that we're beatable. I want to know where all of our money went. That $1 trillion a year we gave the Pentagon. Where the fuck did our money go? Because if we're not the best, and if we are beatable, what the fuck have they been spending our money on?
Jeffrey Epstein and shit like that. You gotta understand, man, they doing whatever they want to do with that money. They might tell you they taking it for this and they doing this, that, and the other with it. Whole time, man, they paying off Jeffrey Epstein for some bullshit with billions of dollars and millions of dollars. So Ain't no telling where that money is.
Should be with the amount of money that we spend a year on our defense. We should have knew what they were going to do 7 months before they fired their first shot. Right now, our enemy is doing sneak attacks on America. They do sneak attacks on America.
Hold up. Patrick, what's good, man? I'm glad you finally made it. I kept on tagging you. Pitbull, you see who it is? Good to see you. No one. My dog, subscribe to the channel, man. We still moving.
I thought we were the sneaky motherfuckers. Everything that I thought I knew, I was just completely wrong. Because of propaganda. They filled our...
I gotta turn this mic off real quick because I'm going into work. But we still gonna rock out.
heads up with lies. So they can take more money from us. You guys probably don't remember.
They tried to get the banks, and he did. He successfully got banking rights for crypto.
The worst thing for your liver is beer. The best thing for your liver is milk thistle. The worst thing for your gut is processed food. The best thing for your gut is dandelion root. The worst thing for your energy is a clogged liver. The best thing for your energy is taurine. The worst thing for your brain fog is toxins circulating in your bloodstream. The best thing for your brain fog is choline. The worst thing for inflammation is decades of junk food. The best thing for inflammation is turmeric. The worst thing for your digestion is a liver that can't produce bile anymore. The best thing for your digestion is digestive enzymes. You could buy all 6 of these separately and spend $200 plus a month doing it. Or you can take one capsule that has everything your liver needs to rebuild itself. This is Uvora Milk Thistle Detox. It has 80% pure silymarin, dandelion root, turmeric, taurine, choline, puraria root, inositol, digestive enzymes, all in one daily capsule. Most guys don't realize that 80% silymarin is the only concentration clinically proven to regenerate liver cells. Anything under that, basically useless. That's why drugstore milk thistle doesn't do anything. And even if you find high purity milk thistle somewhere else, without dandelion root and digestive enzymes, your body can't absorb it. It just gets pissed out. I'd love to go more into the science of why this works, but the page below breaks down how each ingredient works and why most liver supplements are designed to fail. Right now, Uvora's running a limited time buy one, get one free sale because they want every man over 40 to actually experience what happens when your liver starts working again. Plus, a 90-day money-back guarantee. So if you don't wake up with clean energy, if that bloated gut doesn't flatten, if the brain fog doesn't lift, if you don't feel like yourself again, you get every dollar back. No questions asked. Click below and check it out for yourself.
You could be approved for $39 per month, full coverage auto insurance. The only catch is that you need to have 0 DUIs in the last 5 years. Drivers with 0 DUIs in the last 5 years qualify for rates starting at $39 per month for the same coverage. So please click the link below to get a new rate today. It will only take 5 minutes. Once again, if you have 0 DUIs in the last 5 years, click the link below.
I'm trying to get you to understand what he's doing is trying to prevent an onslaught. You know who the number one supporters of the Trump administration right now is? Crypto. And he's moving a lot of money through it. And what I'm trying to get you to understand is that him fucking with those banks, they're gonna lose. They're gonna lose because they're losing some of these cases already. And they got an 80% loss rate in general, both through his personal and through the DOJ, which he tries to use as his personal. So him fucking around with these banks is just highlighting the investigations And Jack Smith's coming back. He's got another case to bring back. He's already admitted that. And then you have Letitia James, who's standing there in the waiting, because once Trumpy Trump is out over either Epstein grabbing itty bitty titty committee or the corruption, once he's out, even if the feds go after him from the Democratic side and from the judicial branch, Vance will pardon him. You're right, Vance will pardon him. But here's the thing you're not thinking about. The states will not. They're going to go after him, and Vance can't pardon anybody convicted by the states. That's why he's a convicted felon now. So what I'm telling everybody is, chill. Let him do this crazy shit. Because this lawsuit and fucking with the banks could lead right to this jail. Listen, did I earn your subscription? I certainly hope I have, wherever the subscribe area is. Definitely want to join me. Hear me on context, because that's what I talk about. I talk about a little bit of everything, and certainly context. He didn't win. He's not winning now. He's on the list. His list is coming out. And if he lives so long, he's going to jail and he's going to have company.
You're watching The Legal Breakdown. Glenn, Donald Trump just got some bad news at the hands of a Republican judge. Can you explain what just happened in court?
Yeah, Brian, yet another ruling from a Ronald Reagan-appointed judge who's been on the bench for 40 years, declaring that Donald Trump's executive orders are illegal, unconstitutional, and void. And I'll tell you, I don't know that I have seen a judge go quite so scorched earth in his language on Donald Trump, and I'll get to that in a minute. But Donald Trump issued 2 executive orders revoking funding for research, and these were with the National Institute of Health, the NIH, for 2 groups of people, racial minorities and LGBTQ plus folks. And this judge, William Young, a federal court judge up in Massachusetts, not only declared that Donald Trump's executive orders targeting these 2 groups of people were unconstitutional. But Brian, I'll tell you, I can't do justice to Judge Young's outrage without reading 3 very short quotes. The first one, the judge says, quote, "I have never seen a record where racial discrimination was so palpable. I've sat on this bench for 40 years now. I've never seen government racial discrimination like this." Quote number 2, "I am hesitant to draw this conclusion, but I have an unflinching obligation to draw."
Overpaying for car insurance? Elephant Insurance may be able to help. Customers who switched saved $829 on average. Our excellent Trustpilot score speaks volumes about our customer satisfaction. Visit elephant.com to see your savings.
Were you recently injured in a car accident? If so, you need to stop now and immediately call an experienced
that this represents racial discrimination and discrimination against LGBTQ community. That's what this is. I would be blind not to call it out. My duty is to call it out. And one last quote from Judge Young, quote, "You are bearing down on people of color because of their color. The Constitution will not permit that. Have we fallen so low? Have we no shame?" That's some of the choice quotes from this Reagan-appointed judge about Donald Trump's unconstitutional executive orders.
How unusual or unorthodox is that kind of language from a judge, notwithstanding the fact that he was a Republican-appointed judge, and so it's going to be difficult for the party of Reagan to be able to circle that square. But just in general, how often do we see that kind of language?
Brian, it is extraordinarily rare. For 30 years, I appeared before judges in the military, in civilian courts, in state courts, in federal courts, in trial courts, and in appellate courts. And people may not know, in the courts of Washington, D.C., not only are all of the federal court judges appointed by the president, but the 65 judges who sit on D.C.'s local court, the Superior Court for the District of Columbia, are also all presidentially appointed judges because D.C. is a federal city and not a state. I have probably appeared before more federal court judges than almost anybody else. I mean, I can't prove that empirically, but it's pretty damn close. Judges don't talk this way. Yeah. Even when lawyers, prosecutors, defense attorneys, civil practitioners make outrageous claims or outrageous arguments, judges don't talk this way. They're thoughtful, they're measured, they're circumspect. Even the most irascible judges tend to kind of pull back a little bit. They don't use language like that. But when you have a veteran of the federal courts for 40 years who says, listen, this is my duty. It's my duty to call this exactly what it is, blatant racial discrimination by our government, by the Trump administration, and blatant discrimination against the LGBTQ plus community. You know, what has pushed him to do that, just as other judges have done, is just how brazenly unlawful and unconstitutional Donald Trump's conduct is.
Do we have any indication as to whether Trump is going to appeal this ruling, or is there some concern that if he appeals it and it's upheld at an appeals court, then it becomes precedent that could have some impact on future executive orders?
You know, Brian, based on what we're hearing from some of the White House spokespeople, I am certain they're going to appeal it because they're spewing out the same old garbage. Oh, this judge is biased. This judge is using his own political views and ideology to attack Donald Trump, which kind of makes no damn sense given that he was appointed by Ronald Reagan. So
I mean that's something that they throw out every opportunity they get. They claim that, you know, Robert Mueller and his team of, like, Robert Mueller, a lifelong registered Republican, and his team of, like, Republican prosecutors was just a band of angry Democrats. So
yeah, which is insane. I mean, Bob Mueller was my homicide chief for 2 years, and I worked shoulder to shoulder with him every day. The man was a Republican through and through, but he did not let politics interfere in his prosecutorial work. But, you know, of course, every judge that rules against Donald Trump, and they're ruling against him by the estimate of one political scientist from Stanford, 96% of the time, they are not only Republican-appointed, Democrat-appointed judges, but they're Trump-appointed judges. You know, all Donald Trump and his mouthpieces have is to attack them as lunatics and deranged, which really, I don't even know that fools the gullible at this point.
So in terms of next steps here, this executive order was declared null and void. And so what happens next? What happens to the funding that was stripped away? What happens to the people who worked on this issue that were fired? I mean, where do we go from here?
That's a great question, Brian, because not only did Judge Young declare that this was illegal and unconstitutional, so they were null and void, he also ordered NIH to immediately restore the funding to these two programs. So that is, I'm sure, something that not only will the Trump administration want to appeal, but they'll want to file for an emergency stay. How many times have we danced this dance? And, first, Judge Young will have the opportunity to decide whether he wants to stay or pause his own ruling. I'm suspecting he won't. And then Trump will run up to the appeals court and ask the appeals court to put a temporary, even if only administrative, stay, which has nothing to do with the sort of quality of Judge Young's ruling. It's just sort of a temporary hold while the appeals court gets to decide the issue. So I am sure that, we've seen this movie before, and I'm sure that is the way this one will play out as well.
Is there any indication as to whether we would see a stay granted at the appeals court in very much the same way that we're seeing that happen in other cases? For example, in California, when Gavin Newsom and the Attorney General out here sued the Trump administration for federalizing the National Guard and sending in the Marines, Judge Breyer, I believe it was, granted that temporary restraining order. That was stayed by the appeals court. And so do you have any idea as to whether what goes into account when they determine whether or not they're going to stay these decisions by trial courts?
Brian, I'm going to say, unfortunately, a pattern is emerging. It is no sort of small potatoes when a trial court judge issues this kind of a sweeping condemnation and ruling when it comes to executive orders of a president of the United States. I mean, it's kind of a big deal in legal circles. And I think most appeals courts get a little bit weak in the knees, even if they read the opinion, whether by Judge Breyer in the California National Guard case or Judge Young in the case we're discussing now. they are kind of loath to let it stand because it is of such sweeping consequence. So, I think the pattern that we have seen emerge is that the judiciary likes to be circumspect in the way they approach this issue, and they kind of want to be on the firmest possible footing if they're going to let these trial court orders go into effect. So I suspect we're going to see that happen again.
Well, I presume some of that is the result of the long-time deference that these judges have paid to the Department of Justice, because usually the Department of Justice acts in good faith and oftentimes doesn't even take cases that it's not going to win. But in this case, when we're seeing...
But possibly, and I say I'm going to give this like another 20 minutes. Yes, sure. I'm going to give it like another 20 minutes, and we're gonna probably restart so we can get moving with our whole squad.
A Department of Justice and an administration that has so quickly burned through all of its goodwill by virtue of all the illegality and corruption that they're trafficking in, does that change the calculus a little bit for these judges, where instead of kind of the default position being deference to this administration, now they have to think about the fact that this administration is not acting in good faith and is trafficking in so much illegality that maybe deference should be paid to the folks who fight against this administration?
I think the answer is yes. I think the Department of Justice, as you said, has squandered its good faith. The judges ordinarily will look at federal prosecutors and believe that they are acting in good faith. They have the evidence to back up the assertions they make in court. They have the law on their side. They actually are taking care not to trample over the rights of the people that are enshrined in the Constitution. They have squandered that, And just as the Department of Justice ordinarily runs around pounding its chest that they, win 99% of the time, albeit in criminal cases, they talk about having a 99% conviction rate, even in civil matters. The Department of Justice wins in the overwhelming majority of the cases. But when you start going into court as a DOJ lawyer and making just purely bullshit arguments, and the judges see right through them, your goodwill is gone. And when you're losing 96% of the time, that has to impact the way a judge will sort of approach each case when it has to do with an allegation of Trump administration illegality.
And finally, let's finish off with this. We know that the issue at hand here are health-related grants, and so obviously there is some degree of urgency in making sure that this is restored, or at least that this whole process is litigated and adjudicated in some timely manner. And so do you have any idea of how long this is going to take before we have, some decision on next steps here?
Yeah, and Judge Young actually made a comment that, this impacts the health of two populations in a discriminatory manner, minorities and the LGBTQ plus community. So I have a feeling we're probably going to see within about 24 hours the Trump administration seeking both a stay and filing a notice of appeal. Usually, there are different time frames to file notices of appeal. Usually it's about 10 days, sometimes it's 30 days, but I don't think the Trump administration is going to wait around. We're probably going to see something filed as early as tomorrow.
Okay, well, first of all, be on the lookout for the Trump administration attacking yet another liberal, communist, Marxist judge that was appointed by Ronald Reagan, basically the father of the modern GOP. But with that said, we will, of course, stay on top of this case as it continues to play itself out in the courts. For those who are watching, if you'd like to follow along with this case and other legal news, please make sure to subscribe. The links to both of our channels are right here on the screen. That's the best way to support our work and the best way to support independent media more broadly. I'm Brian Tyler Cohen.
And I'm Glenn Kirshner.
You're watching The Legal Breakdown. You're watching The Legal Breakdown. Glenn, we have a big update as far as one of Donald Trump's top henchmen are concerned, where his law license may now be at risk. Can you explain what just happened?
Yeah, Brian. Ed Martin, our viewers will probably remember that name. This is the guy that Donald Trump tried to make the top prosecutor in Washington, D.C., the United States Attorney for the District of Columbia, and Ed Martin proved to be a bridge too far for the Republican-controlled Senate, and they refused to confirm him. So then they shifted Ed Martin over to the Department of Justice, put him in charge of the weaponization group, but he wasn't long for that position either. He got himself into some hot water. He was removed from that position, not to mention he was removed from the Department of Justice, and he's in some satellite office building halfway across town now. However, he is still the pardon attorney for the United States of America, because of course he is.
Well, when he was acting U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, what did he do?
Once I get home to the computer, I can get the link, but I can't do it right here off my phone.
Georgetown University
School of Law.
But you can still drop the link.
I understand.
Still drop the link though. Preferably in the in the messages. You got an inbox on YouTube now.
That your school is teaching and promoting
DEI. This is unacceptable and you must stop. And when they opted not to stop because they have First Amendment rights, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of religion, it is a Catholic and Jesuit private institution, he punished them by prohibiting any Georgetown University law students or anybody affiliated with Georgetown from working at the D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office. Brian, I would say this is like legal bizarro world, but what it really is Trump world. They don't believe that the laws or the Constitution apply to them or constrain their conduct. Not to mention, before I get to the good part, prosecutors have absolutely no right or jurisdiction or authority to run around and tell colleges and universities what they can and can't teach and what they can and can't promote. That is not the job of a prosecutor. We are there to investigate and prosecute crime. And policies that law schools and universities may have with respect to things like diversity, equity, and inclusion has nothing to do with the criminal law. So all of that being said, the D.C. Bar Council is doing its job. Ed Martin holds a license to practice law from the D.C. Bar. That's where he's barred as an attorney. I should add, before you can work as a federal attorney at the Department of Justice, you have to hold a state law license from one of the 50 states or the District of Columbia, and his is in the District of Columbia. Well, there were ethical allegations filed against him, including by a retired judge, saying this is all unethical and frankly unconstitutional conduct, what Ed Martin did. And the Bar Council agreed. They opened an investigation. And let me tell you just a little bit of what that allegation alleges. Think of these as the charges against him. Martin knew or should have known that as a government official, his conduct of trying to threaten and coerce Georgetown law into abandoning DEI teaching and programs, his conduct violated the First and Fifth Amendments to the Constitution of the United States in that he demanded that Georgetown law change what it teaches students and how it teaches them. He stated that a particular viewpoint, DEI, which Ed Martin didn't even have the courtesy to define, never mind explain. He just used those three initials. He didn't say what it was. He didn't say why a prosecutor had any business, intervening at all in a university's DEI programs. And, it was so laughable when you read this threatening letter that he sent to Georgetown. An undefined DEI is unacceptable and threatened to and did take adverse action against Georgetown law to penalize it for teaching and promoting that viewpoint. And Martin used coercion to punish or suppress a disfavored viewpoint, disfavored by Ed Martin, the teaching and promotion of DEI. Think of those as the charges that have been leveled and are being investigated and pursued by D.C. Bar Council. But Brian, believe it or not, it gets worse. Once these charges landed on Ed Martin's lap, he started to unethically have what we call ex parte contact, one-sided contact with who? Judges on the District of Columbia Court of Appeals, who would be the ultimate decider as to whether the charges have been proven and whether he should be sanctioned up to and including being disbarred. He started reaching out to the judges, writing them, contacting them, saying things like, the Bar Council who's pursuing this, a gentleman named Hamilton Fox, he's been in that position a very long time, highly regarded. I want Fox investigated and I want Fox punished. And he's actually talking to the judges who will ultimately sit and make a decision in his ethics allegation case. I mean, again, this is so beyond the pale. So what did the D.C. Bar Council do? They added charges for additional ethical misconduct for having ex parte, one-sided communications with judges who in the future will be deciding your case.
So what are the next steps here now that this investigation is formally launched in the D.C. Bar Council?
Think trial of sorts. They will adjudicate these ethics charges against Ed Martin. And I have to tell you, Brian, this old prosecutor sees these charges as kind of shooting fish in a barrel. I mean, it's so beyond the pale, and I will never get over that the top prosecutor in Washington, D.C. decided to completely abandon the scope of his authority, which is to investigate and prosecute crime, and is threatening a law school, a prominent, highly regarded law school in Washington, D.C., to change what it teaches and what it endorses and what its policies are. It's so beyond the pale that, it will be easy to conclude after this adjudication occurs that, yes, he violated the Constitution, the First Amendment, the Fifth Amendment. And I have to say, the second charge of having unethical contact with judges, he's got emails that he sent to the judges saying, I want you to fire basically the guy who's prosecuting me as part of this Bar Council adjudication. It's just so beyond the pale, so transparently unethical and unconstitutional that, I have a feeling adjudicating these ethics charges are going to be pretty easy.
Now, I want to know what the actual consequences, the practical implications are going to be for somebody like Ed Martin. But first, before you dive into that question, just a quick note for anybody who's watching. If you'd like to support our work and hear more about breaking legal news, the best way to do that is to subscribe to both of our channels. I'm going to put those links in the post description of this video. If you're not yet subscribed, it's 100% free to do so, but a great way to support us and independent media. So please go ahead and hit the subscribe buttons. So Glenn, even in the scenario where Ed Martin loses his law license because the DC Bar Council, follows their mandate and sees the abuse that's taking place at the hands of Ed Martin at this administration and disbars him, what does that mean for somebody in the Trump administration, both now and in the future?
A couple of things. First, I think he should, and I think the DOJ regulations, I would want to check this, would basically require that he be removed as the he can't serve as the nation's top pardon attorney if he's not the attorney part, if he's been disbarred. So he should lose any position that, he still maintains at the Department of Justice. However, just as we saw with Kristi Noem, who was fired as the director of DHS and ended up in some fictitious position that Donald Trump just, put a name to, I have a feeling the Trump administration will absorb Ed Martin somewhere in that administration to do Lord knows what, continue to act improperly, unlawfully, and unconstitutionally, as he has done over and over again. It does mean that he will never be able to practice law in any jurisdiction in the United States, federal or any of the state courts. So, there is some penalty attached to that. But because we are in a post-shame universe in the Trump administration, for all I know, that will be the first thing he puts on a resume, depending on, who he is seeking employment with. I was disbarred fighting for dear leader. That might be a selling point for Ed Martin.
And that's the part I want to dig into here, because I'm wondering if it's enough of a deterrent for any of these people who, look, it's not like they're there because they were qualified in the first place. It's not like they were there because of their sterling qualifications, because Pete Hegseth knows how to operate the Pentagon, or Sean Duffy has some has some experience, has some wealth of knowledge when it comes to transportation. They're there all solely because in this MAGA ecosystem, if you can show blind, slavish devotion to the guy at the top, then you've got your job. And in fact, they're mutually exclusive, competence and sycophancy, because the more competent you are, the less likely you're going to be to blindly just adhere to whatever Trump tells you to do. And so I'm wondering, in this MAGA universe, if you even think it's it's enough of a deterrent to take the law license away of somebody who is not there because he's proficient in law, but rather because he's willing to just follow blindly the edicts that Trump puts forward.
You know, Brian, I wouldn't say it's enough of a penalty or a sanction or a consequence to lose your law license, but two things. First of all, it's still pretty darn serious. You know, we are a tribe of lawyers, for better or worse. We come in all, flavors and sizes and ideologies. But, you get your undergraduate degree for 4 years. You then go to law school for 3 years. You then study for the bar. You take the bar. You pass the bar. You get sworn in. In theory, you begin to get trained up as a lawyer. There is a lot of time, effort, energy, money that goes into getting that law license. And I think I can speak for most attorneys. We kind of covet it. We hold fast to it. Sometimes we're even proud of it, depending on the work we're doing. So it really is a hit when somebody gets disbarred. That's in theory, at least 3 years of law school and a bar exam that is thrown out the window, and you can never take advantage of it. You can never use it.
Welcome to the United States of Corruption. Let's take a look at the last 24 hours.
What I wanted to talk about is war. Sir, would you give a pardon to 19 soldiers? Why? Well, they killed a lot of people. They were trained to kill, and that's what they did. And I pardoned a lot of people. But they've all been well behaved, right? Okay, good. Otherwise, it'll be a big story. Trump shouldn't have let them go.
Because, it's super normal for the president to be like, yeah, man, I pardoned a bunch of killers. Hello, we know the type that Henny Hegseth is talking about. Those wasn't normal tactical army kills. Motherfuckers was over there bodying shit. He's very easy to predict because lights on, nobody home, he has dementia. So tonight he's going to make this huge announcement of 2020, I've proven that it was stolen. Immediately just ask, why has nobody been arrested? He's doing all of this to stir up the bullshit of what's going on right now.
Look, I'll take your word for it. He was a convicted narco trafficker.
Did the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, pardon a convicted narco trafficker?
I believe we just discussed that. The president provided a pardon, yes.
Pardon a known narco trafficker, but you can't get one, Boosie? Oh, wow. They got your ass bad. And then it gets worse.
Authorizing a new screening program for testosterone deficiency for our service members, ensuring you have the right testosterone levels to operate at your absolute best.
It's straight, Henny Hegseth. You're providing gender-affirming care with our tax dollars, even though supposedly you hate gender-affirming care. But you don't hate it when it's for men that have low testosterone. Even though people that are transitioning are trying to get testosterone as well. You're just like, not the same thing because they're not trying to do the same thing. I'm just trying to give them testosterone so they can, be more manly in the Department of War. And it's like, God, you are such a fucking loser. It makes me sick.
People want to say we mishandled the Epstein release. Guilty. We did mishandle, especially the communications of it.
There's Cuckboy Vance going on this weird book tour that's actually just Peter Thiel saying, hey, man, you got to go be these people's favorite. So go on the other side, say you don't really like our greatest liability, say we admitted that we fucked up the Epstein files. It's like, hello, no shit, you part of the corruption too, dickhead. You don't just get out of this. It's like, what the fuck is going on? How stupid do these people think we are?
100% expensing, and that expensing, I think, we write it off in 1 year. I have friends that bought things that, frankly, they didn't need. I have a friend that never flew on a private plane in his life, and he ended up going out buying a very expensive private plane.
Thank you for letting us know your big, beautiful bill made the 1% even richer. Your boy got to get a fucking private plane while the rest of Americans suffer, can't make rent, and some can't even afford school lunches. But, everything is copacetic. It's going great.
Very clearly, if you do not negotiate with the president and you continue to try to kill American troops and build bombs and build missiles that you're going to use to attempt to kill Americans, we will turn you into a parking lot.
This big bag stupid fuck talking all spicy. Get your dumb ass over there and go drop some bombs then. If we want to turn some entire country into a parking lot, which is ethnic cleansing / genocidal, but it's like, I know you have never put no boots on the ground. You probably never excelled at anything. And you talking real Mephistophelian. Shut the fuck up if you've never proven anything. Or go prove it. And The fact is, war is going to begin. Why? Because Steve Kukoff and rat boy Weasel Kushner are making money and backdooring us while talking to BB the Bomber. If you wonder why I always say left wing, right wing, same bird, this is the amendment that's going to end our tax dollars, $3.3 billion a year, to the greatest liability. Understand that? We are occupied. This shit is fucking cooked. Forever, we are indebted to that stupid fucking small-ass country. And for what? We wasn't Adolf. We ain't do that.
Ms. Maxwell was transferred from a low-security federal institution to a minimum security prison camp. Were you involved with that transfer?
When, as I've talked about before, in the time leading up to me going down to meet with her, we learned that she was receiving threats.
And so, you know, father used to be in prison and whatnot, visits all the time, so I know a thing or two. When somebody receives threats, yeah, you get put in solitary confinement or protective custody. You don't transfer them to a minimum security prison where they can then pet dogs in their free time. That's not fucking normal. But we're occupied by her and Double O Epstein, and now we have Ty on his knees Blanche, who's much fucking worse than cunt Bondi.
A historic investment, $1.5 trillion investment in the War Department to ensure that we outcompete, without question, every other nation on planet Earth, so that things like Venezuela can continue to be done to reestablish deterrence around the world.
Alcoholic fuck literally just said out loud, we need 1.5 trillion so we can go kidnapping other presidents.
But that next midnight hammer that's required 10, 20 years down the road is because of the F-47 and the B-21 and the autonomy and the carriers that this president will build because of this historic investment. The Golden Dome that protects our country, the AI that allows us to target faster.
Trump even leaned back when he heard that Golden Dome bullshit because he knows alcoholic hate stuff just be fucking spouting just a whole bunch of bullshit. And it's like, out that 1.5 trillion, how much are your sons going to make because they have that new little drone company? I mean, the corruption is at its highest level. You almost have to respect it at this point.
This ridiculous CHIPS Act where you give billions of dollars to a company and they didn't even know what the hell to do with it. You give them billions of dollars, they say they're going to build. Nobody knew what to do with it. And of course, the standards were so high. If you weren't transgender, as an example, you didn't qualify. So they get the money, they'd look all over for transgender people to run the company.
Crazy as it sounds, I'm starting to understand how Trumpstein's brain works. So he probably heard transistor, right? And he was like, I don't know what that is, but it sounds like something transgender related. So they definitely, yeah, we're just gonna go with that. And then he just, just spouts off from the fucking mouth a whole bunch of bullshit that has no parallel or connection to what the fuck is actually going on.
2 days after Mr. Blanche was confirmed as Deputy Attorney General, he fired me from my position as the department's career pardon attorney. I declined to rubber stamp a political favor for a friend of the president, and it cost me my job. Mr. Blanche's office had asked me to recommend restoring the gun ownership rights of a convicted domestic abuser.
Gotta watch out for dick suckers like this. No moral compass, willing to do whatever just to get one little fucking pat on the back from Trumpstein. This man will sell his fucking soul, even though it's already sold. He'll do it another 10 times.
In the States, we have taken the necessary and essential action of formally recognizing left-wing violence as a form of political terrorism that is a direct threat to our national security and the survival of our Republican form of government.
Stephen Goebbels here, this stupid bald fuck, he's such a pussy that he's right now living on military grounds because he doesn't want to suffer in public because, him and his wife are two total fucking cunts. Now, this man wants to basically imprison anybody that goes against him.
For the first time in American history, all of our law enforcement and intelligence agencies to work together to disrupt, identify, defund, debank, arrest, and prosecute these political terrorists that are operating in our country. It's very important to understand that left-wing political terrorism seeks as its ultimate end the overthrow of our system and form of government.
Now, the most shocking thing is that he won't give you any examples because they're still trying to figure out exactly what they want to pinpoint left-wing political terrorists at. So it can be whatever bubble they want to fit it into. Next thing you know, like he said, defrauded, debanked. Motherfuckers is trying to take people's lives completely away from them if they do not agree with bald bitch here.
Left-wing terrorism always ends in bloodshed, misery, and suffering. It only can travel in one direction. There's no point at which the left-wing terrorist is satisfied with his gains and ceases progressing. Inevitably, left to run its course, it always becomes a gulag. It always becomes the mass imprisonment of political enemies, the stripping of their rights and freedoms.
I love how every accusation by this administration is a just straight up confession. This man's supposed to be in Gladiator Fridays. He's such a fucking loser cuck. Tune in to Hater News, and yeah, watch out for that announcement here coming soon, 2020 election, everything was stolen, but in reality, it's because the files need to be released. It's because Steve Cuckoff and Jared Ratboy are making money and backdooring us, talking to BB the Bomber so we can stay in a forever war. And then you have JD that's just running, shaders where it's like, look over here. Yeah, Cuck Boy. Yeah, I'm not doing too bad. 2028, look for me. It's like, man, people, our country right now is getting fried. I don't know when we have to step in and do our thing, but it may have to happen here soon. Welcome to the United States of Corruption. Let's take a look at the last 24 hours.
What I wanted to talk about is war. Sir, would you give a pardon to 19 soldiers? Why? Well, they killed a lot of people. They were trained to kill, and that's what they did. And I pardoned a lot of people. But they've all been well behaved, right? Okay, good. Otherwise, it'll be a big story. Trump shouldn't have let them go.
Because, it's super normal for the president to be like, yeah, man, I pardoned a bunch of killers. It's like, hello, we know the type that Henny Hegseth is talking about. Those wasn't normal tactical army kills. Motherfuckers was over there bodying shit. He's very easy to predict because lights on, nobody home, he has dementia. So tonight he's going to make this huge announcement of 2020, I've proven that it was stolen. Immediately just ask, why has nobody been arrested? He's doing all this to stir up the bullshit of what's going on right now.
Look, I'll take your word for it. He was a convicted narco trafficker.
Did the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, pardon a convicted narco trafficker?
I believe we just discussed that. The president provided a pardon, yes.
Pardon a known narco trafficker, but you can't get one, Boosie? Oh, wow. They got your ass bad. And then it gets worse.
Authorizing a new screening program for testosterone deficiency for our service members, ensuring you have the right testosterone levels to operate at your absolute best.
It's straight, Henny Hegseth. You're providing gender-affirming care with our tax dollars, even though supposedly you hate gender-affirming care, but you don't hate it when it's for men that have low testosterone. Even though people that are transitioning are trying to get testosterone as well. You're just like, not the same thing because they're not trying to do the same thing. I'm just trying to give them testosterone so they can, be more manly in the Department of War. And it's like, God, you are such a fucking loser. It makes me sick.
People want to say we mishandled the Epstein release. Guilty. We did mishandle, especially the communications of it.
There's Cuckboy Vance going on this weird book tour that's actually just Peter Thiel saying, hey, man, you gotta go be...
Y'all, I would say that this video was directed at MAGA, but the truth is they don't listen, and it seems they are completely incapable of learning. So in honesty, this video is directed at the people who have to deal with MAGA in our regular lives over this specific issue. Well, America was founded as a Christian nation, so we have to return to our godly roots. That is BS, absolute BS. And when someone says that, I know you're not educated or you got your education from a pulpit only. I'm going to completely destroy this argument with receipts. So MAGA, if you're here, take off the tinfoil hat, put on your thinking cap, and try to pay attention, because what you guys are doing, what you are supporting and participating in, is tantamount to treason. All right, let me deal with the usual suspects, because I know you little keyboard warriors are going to be there clickety-clacketing typing the following things. So let me deal with this. Look, is it true that some of the people that came here originally were religious? Yes. Is it true that parts of American culture have been shaped by Christianity? Yes. That is not the same as saying that the United States was founded as a government to enforce religious rule. It's a line that Christian nationalists, MAGA, would love people to look the other way on, but that's not the same thing. Here's the second thing. I know you guys are going to say, well, we're definitely a Christian nation because our money says in God we trust, and we say one nation under God in the Pledge of Allegiance. God. Sometimes it's like, I feel like I should go back in a time machine and get your teachers' paycheck, right? Because obviously either they weren't doing their job or you weren't paying attention. All right, I'm gonna hold your hand while I say this, okay? Those two things weren't added until the 1950s. What? And the country was not founded in the 1950s. It was like hundreds of years before that. There was a huge gap in time between the founding of the United States and when those two things were added. And they were added, just so you know, not because the Constitution woke up and said, oh yeah, by the way, we're a Christian nation. They were founded because it was the Cold War. The United States was trying to say, no, godly America versus godless communism. So it was all a marketing ploy and not added until the 1950s. And real quickly, before I lose any of you little MAGAs, why I say that what you're doing is basically tantamount to treason is because this nation was not founded as a Christian nation, which I'm going to go back to in a second. And you are actively working towards dismantling and rebuilding the government as a government structure that can push Christianity into basically every corner of life, including government and civil law. That is treason. You are actively working against the founding document of your own nation. Because I don't know if you guys have ever actually read the Constitution other than to take a blurb or two and slap it on a t-shirt, but it does not say a single thing about God. Not God, not Jesus, not the Bible, and certainly not establishing the United States as a Christian nation. It doesn't say that. And they had the opportunity to do it, which I'm going to circle back to in a minute about why they didn't do that. They specifically set up the documents that founded this nation, not the colonies in America, but the United States of America, so that there was no established religion. And in fact, they were so against this that if you ever read the Constitution, you would know that they wrote in things that ban religious tests to hold public office. And the First Amendment says Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. So these are not Fox talking points. This is the actual Constitution of the government of the United States of America. You know that flag that you guys slap on your chest? Okay, that's what we're talking about. So when you, MAGA, Christian nationalists, try to make Christianity the unofficial law of the land, you are not defending the Constitution. You are, in fact, betraying it. Because Christian nationalism isn't about asking for Christians to be able to practice freely. You already have that right. What they want is for the government to privilege their version of Christianity over everybody else's. They want public school policy, all of it shaped around their religious beliefs. And I'm sorry to tell you, but that is not religious liberty, that is religious domination. Don't leave yet. Here are the receipts. I think a huge part of this argument that is lost on people is that the founders and the Pilgrims were totally separate people. So you have the Pilgrims and the Puritans who came here on or about the 1620s, 1630s. Those are groups of people who decided that they did not like the way that things were happening over with the Church of England. So they didn't really come, so people say, oh, people came to America to escape religious persecution. Yes, but also they came here because they wanted to do Christianity their way and then enforce it on everybody else, right? Because they couldn't do that in England. So they came here. Let me remind everybody that for the first 100 and something years before the United States became an actual country, it was just, they were British colonies, okay? British colonies. Those are not the founders. So those people, the Pilgrims, the Puritans, they came here for a variety of reasons, but not the least of which is they wanted to practice their own version.
This is what happened when you allow a real estate developer to negotiate our foreign policy. And my personal opinion is I didn't vote for Trump. It's a secular vote, and he has strong supporters that believes in him, believes that he, despite of having no experience, never served in the government or nothing, no education, should be making these type of decisions. And since you support him, his supporters, should deal with the consequences that goes along with his decision. And that means take off that MAGA hat, don't go to the rally, and take your ass down to the military recruiter and sign up and go over to the Middle East and protect some of these soft motherfucking targets we got. Because you feel that a man who build houses or build buildings is equipped enough to make foreign motherfucking decisions that's going to impact the world. And it just shows you the privilege of being a white male, because there is no other human that will be given this latitude of this ignorance, of no experience, of no education, who say he don't read, he knows more than the generals, and comes from 5 generations that never served a day of military service, but yet to be able to put us on the brink of a fucking war. And y'all support that. I'm a great comedian, but that don't mean I should be able to do fucking surgery. If you have a problem, I should not be able to be sitting out here and do a heart transplant because I'm a great comedian. And because a group of our people voted him in. They supported him on his immigration policy. They supported him on his tax cut. They supported him on everything. So now supporting him on the decision and deal with the consequences. Why my fellow military people who didn't vote for him think we should have somebody in here who's experienced. We have 350 million motherfuckers that live in this great country. And the best we can do is sell a real estate agent to go over here and negotiate with Iran. He doesn't know the difference between a Shiite. No, he doesn't know. He doesn't. He'll tell you that. Or Sunni. He doesn't know the difference. He don't know the faction between the two. That'd be an equivalent as a motherfucker who cut hair to come over here and say, I want you to moderate the difference between black and white in this country. And he doesn't even know the history of slavery and why we have these divisions. He doesn't know the divisions over there. He doesn't care. I'll tell you why he doesn't care. He's the only president ever that we had that's been president for 4 years that haven't aged a bit. Every other president has aged. You know why? Because the weight of the world is on them. He has no empathy. He knows if anything pop off, he's going to be protected because of the position he's in. So he sleeps well at night. You don't have to worry about who wakes up the phone, who picks up the phone at 3 o'clock. He takes the bitch off the hook. Because I don't need you to wake me up. I need my sleep. Fuck it. I'll deal with it in the morning. He know if the world park off, his son ain't going over there to fight. It's going to be minorities and poor white kids fighting a decision because he don't want to play diplomacy. And he always want to blame it on the black man, the previous administration. He didn't do this because of that. Well, this is the reason why you ran, because he didn't do this. What is your plan? Anybody could kill a motherfucker that's second in command and do it so raggedly and then commit. What the fuck you think they going to do? Why wouldn't they want a nuke? Motherfucker, they know once they get a nuke, nigga, you can't invade them. Look at all the other countries that we done had that gave their nuke up. Saddam Hussein, dead. Libya, dead. Every motherfucker who got a nuke, you got to talk to them. You sit down and push your way. They care about their country too. America first. They're not American. Iranian, they care about theirs. They are terrorists. And you kill this motherfucker because he's a terrorist, but you shake hands with the leader of North Korea and Putin, they killing motherfuckers too. You ain't shooting and killing them motherfuckers. So now when an American die, it's ready for you to cut off a war because we ain't having it. You ain't say shit to the Saudis when they chopped up that Washington Post, motherfucker. You told it. Now you believe this intelligence, but you don't believe the other intelligence told you they killed the motherfuckers. It's a game. It's a fucking game, and he's playing with people's lives who signed up to defend this great country. And you motherfuckers who Trump supporter put him there with no experience. A real estate motherfucking agent is running the country. This is what happened when you allow a real estate developer to negotiate our foreign policy. And my personal opinion is I didn't vote for Trump. It's a secular vote, and he has strong supporters that believes in him, believes that he, despite of having no experience, never served in the government or nothing, no education, is should be making these type of decisions. And since you support them, his supporters, should deal with the consequences that goes along with his decision. And that means take off that MAGA hat, don't go to the rally, and take your ass down to the military recruiter and sign up and go over to the Middle East and protect some of these soft motherfucking targets we got. Because you feel that a man who build houses or build buildings is equipped enough to make foreign motherfucking decisions that's going to impact the world. And it just shows you the privilege of being a white male, because there is no other human that will be given this latitude of this ignorance, of no experience, of no education, who say he don't read, he knows more than the generals, and come from 5 generations that never served a day of military service, but yet to be able to put us on the brink of a fucking war. And y'all support that. I'm a great comedian, but that don't mean I should be able to do fucking surgery. If you have a problem, I should not be able to be sitting out here and do a heart transplant because I'm a great comedian. And because a group of our people voted him in. They supported him on his immigration policy. They supported him on his tax cut. They supported him on everything. So now supporting him on the decision and deal with the consequences. Why my fellow military people who didn't vote for him think we should have somebody in here who's experienced. We have 350 million motherfuckers that live in this great country. And the best we can do is sell a real estate agent to go over here and negotiate with Iran. He doesn't know the difference between a Shiite. No, he doesn't know. He doesn't. He'll tell you that. Or Sunni. He doesn't know the difference. He don't know the faction between the two. That'd be equivalent as a motherfucker who cut hair to come over here and say, I want you to moderate the difference between black and white in this country. And he doesn't even know the history of slavery and why we have these divisions. He doesn't know the divisions over there. He doesn't care. I'll tell you why he doesn't care. He's the only president ever that we had that's been president for 4 years that haven't aged a bit. Every other president has aged. You know why? Because the weight of the world is on them. He has no empathy. He knows if anything pop off, he's going to be protected because of the position he's in. So he sleeps well at night. You don't have to worry about who wakes up the phone, who picks up the phone at 3 o'clock. He takes the bitch off the hook. Because I don't need you to wake me up. I need my sleep. Fuck it. I deal with it in the morning. He know if the world park off, his son ain't going over there to fight. It's going to be minorities and poor white kids fighting a decision because he don't want to play diplomacy. And he always want to blame it on the black man, the previous administration. He didn't do this because of that. Well, this is the reason why you ran, because he didn't do this. What is your plan? Anybody could kill a motherfucker that's second in command and do it so raggedly and then commit. What the fuck you think they going to do? Why wouldn't they want a nuke? Motherfucker, they know once they get a nuke, nigga, you can't invade them. Look at all the other countries that we done had that gave their nuke up. Saddam Hussein, dead. Libya, dead. Every motherfucker who got a nuke, you got to talk to them. You sit down and push your way. They care about their country too. America first. They're not American. Iranian, they care about theirs. They are terrorists. And you kill this motherfucker because he's a terrorist, but you shake hands with the leader of North Korea and Putin. They killing motherfuckers too. You ain't shooting and killing them motherfuckers. So now when an American die, it's ready for you to cut off a war because we ain't having it. You ain't say shit to the Saudis when they chopped up that Washington Post, motherfucker. You told it. Now you believe this intelligence, but you don't believe the other intelligence told you they killed the motherfuckers. It's a game. It's a fucking game, and he's playing with people's lives who signed up to defend this great country. And you motherfuckers who Trump supporter put him there with no experience. A real estate motherfucking agent is running the country. This is what happened when you allow a real estate developer to negotiate our foreign policy. And my personal opinion is I didn't vote for Trump. It's a secular vote, and he has strong supporters that believes in him, believes that he, despite of having no experience, never served in the government or nothing, no education, should be making these type of decisions. And since you support him, his supporters, should deal with the consequences that goes along with his decision. And that means take off that MAGA hat, don't go to the rally, and take your ass down to the military recruiter and sign up and go over to the Middle East and protect some of these soft motherfucking targets we got. Because you feel that a man who build houses or build buildings is equipped enough to make foreign motherfucking decisions that's going to impact the world. And it just shows you the privilege of being a white male, because there is no other human that will be given this latitude of this ignorance, of no experience, of no education, who say he don't read, he knows more than the generals, and comes from 5 generations that never served a day of military service, but yet to be able to put us on the brink of a fucking war. And y'all support that. I'm a great comedian, but that don't mean I should be able to do fucking surgery. If you have a problem, I should not be able to be sitting out here and do a heart transplant because I'm a great comedian. And because a group of our people voted him in. They supported him on his immigration policy. They supported him on his tax cut. They supported him on everything. So now supporting him on the decision and deal with the consequences. Why my fellow military people who didn't vote for him think we should have somebody in here who's experienced. We have 350 million motherfuckers that live in this great country. And the best we can do is sell a real estate agent to go over here and negotiate with Iran. He doesn't know the difference between a Shiite. No, he doesn't know. He doesn't. He'll tell you that. Or Sunni. He doesn't know the difference. He don't know the faction between the two. That'd be an equivalent as a motherfucker who cut hair to come over here and say, I want you to moderate the difference between black and white in this country. And he doesn't even know the history of slavery and why we have these divisions. He doesn't know the divisions over there. He doesn't care. I'll tell you why he doesn't care. He's the only president ever that we had that's been president for 4 years and haven't aged a bit. Every other president has aged. You know why? Because the weight of the world is on them. He has no empathy. He knows if anything pop off, he's going to be protected because of the position he's in. So he sleeps well at night. You don't have to worry about who wakes up the phone, who picks up the phone at 3 o'clock. He takes the bitch off the hook. Because I don't need you to wake me up. I need my sleep. Fuck it. I'll deal with it in the morning. He know if the world park off, his son ain't going over there to fight. It's going to be minorities and poor white kids fighting a decision because he don't want to play diplomacy. And he always want to blame it on a black man, the previous administration. He didn't do this because of that. Well, this is the reason why you ran, because he didn't do this. What is your plan? Anybody could kill a motherfucker that's second in command and do it so raggedly and then commit. What the fuck you think they going to do? Why wouldn't they want a nuke? Motherfucker, they know once they get a nuke, nigga, you can't invade them. Look at all the other countries that we done had that gave their nuke up. Saddam Hussein, dead. Libya, dead. Every motherfucker who got a nuke, you got to talk to them. You sit down and push your way. They care about their country too. America first. They're not American. Iranian, they care about theirs. They are terrorists. And you kill this motherfucker because he's a terrorist, but you shake hands with the leader of North Korea and Putin. They killing motherfuckers too. You ain't shooting and killing them motherfuckers. So now when an American die, it's ready for you to cut off a war because we ain't handling it. You ain't say shit to the Saudis when they chopped up that Washington Post, motherfucker. You told it. Now you believe this intelligence, but you don't believe the other intelligence told you they killed the motherfuckers. It's a game. It's a fucking game, and he's playing with people's lives who signed up to defend this great country. And you motherfuckers who Trump supporter put him there with no experience. A real estate motherfucking agent is running the country. This is what happened when you allow a real estate developer to negotiate our foreign policy. And my personal opinion is I didn't vote for Trump. It's a secular vote, and he has strong supporters that believes in him, believes that he, despite of having no experience, never served in the government or nothing, no education, should be making these type of decisions. And since you support him, his supporters, should deal with the consequences that goes along with his decision. And that means take off that MAGA hat, don't go to the rally, and take your ass down to the military recruiter and sign up and go over to the Middle East and protect some of these soft motherfucking targets we got. Because you feel that a man who build houses or build buildings is equipped enough to make foreign motherfucking decisions that's going to impact the world. And it just shows you the privilege of being a white male, because there is no other human that will be given this latitude of this ignorance, of no experience, of no education, who say he don't read, he knows more than the generals, and comes from 5 generations that never served a day of military service, but yet to be able to put us on the brink of a fucking war, and y'all support that. I'm a great comedian. But that don't mean I should be able to do fucking surgery. If you have a problem, I should not be able to be sitting out here and do a heart transplant because I'm a great comedian. And because a group of our people voted him in. They supported him on his immigration policy. They supported him on his tax cut. They supported him on everything. So now supporting him on the decision and deal with the consequences. Why my fellow military people who didn't vote for him think we should have somebody in here who's experienced. We have 350 million motherfuckers that live in this great country. And the best we can do is sell a real estate agent to go over here and negotiate with Iran. He doesn't know the difference between a Shiite. No, he doesn't know. He doesn't. He'll tell you that. Or Sunni. He doesn't know the difference. He don't know the faction between the two. That'll be an equivalent as a motherfucker who cut hair to come over here and say, I want you to moderate the difference between black and white in this country. And he doesn't even know the history of slavery and why we have these divisions. He doesn't know the divisions over there. He doesn't care. I'll tell you why he doesn't care. He's the only president ever that we had that's been president for 4 years and haven't aged a bit. Every other president has aged. You know why? Because the weight of the world is on them. He has no empathy. He knows if anything pop off, he's going to be protected because of the position he's in. So he sleeps well at night. You don't have to worry about who wakes up the phone, who picks up the phone at 3 o'clock. He takes the bitch off the hook. Because I don't need you to wake me up. I need my sleep. Fuck it. I deal with it in the morning. He know if the world park off, his son ain't going over there to fight. It's going to be minorities and poor white kids fighting a decision because he don't want to play diplomacy. And he always want to blame it on the black man, the previous administration. He didn't do this because of that. Well, this is the reason why you ran, because he didn't do this. What is your plan? Anybody could kill a motherfucker that's second in command and do it so raggedly and then commit. What the fuck you think they going to do? Why wouldn't they want a nuke? Motherfucker, they know once they get a nuke, nigga, you can't invade them. Look at all the other countries that we done had that gave their nuke up. Saddam Hussein, dead. Libya, dead. Every motherfucker who got a nuke, you got to talk to them. You sit down and push your way. They care about their country too. America first. They're not American. Iranian, they care about theirs. They are terrorists. And you kill this motherfucker because he's a terrorist, but you shake hands with the leader of North Korea and Putin. They killing motherfuckers too. You ain't shooting and killing them motherfuckers. So now when an American die, it's ready for you to cut off a war because we ain't handling it. You ain't say shit to the Saudis when they chopped up that Washington Post, motherfucker. You told it. Now you believe this intelligence, but you don't believe the other intelligence told you they killed the motherfuckers. It's a game. It's a fucking game, and he's playing with people's lives who signed up to defend this great country. And you motherfuckers who Trump supporter put him there with no experience. A real estate motherfucking agent is running the country.
He's a filthy fucking nigger.
But you call all of us niggers.
No, I didn't. I called him a nigger for acting like a fucking nigger.
So what do you call yourself? What do you think you are?
My name's Tara. Nigger.
So what do you call yourself? What do you think you are?
My name's Tara. That's what I am.
So what do you think you are?
I'm a mad fucking bitch.
So you call people niggers when you get mad?
I do. I call people niggers if they act like niggers. Hello?
And what do you think you are?
Sorry.
Are you a
this
nigger
filthy
too?
nigger's filming me. You need to hurry up.
Who you calling a nigger?
That's cool. You can go to jail, you filthy
Yeah,
nigger.
bitch. That's why you just got the fuck slapped out of you.
That's cool.
I am deeply embarrassed to what I'm about to say, but that chick right there was my ex-girlfriend of when I was 16 years old. It was the first girlfriend I ever had, but I'm not making this video to talk about her or make this video about her or my relationship with her when I was just a kid. In fact, on the contrary, I hope this video stays in the algorithm of just my followers and not outside, because I would hate for her to find my video reaction to this and to somehow find me. I would absolutely hate that. I don't and wouldn't want anything to do with this person. So my video today is about noticing something. I have dated 3 white girls in my life, and watching this video right here, it made me realize that all 3 of them turned out to be bigots. Of course, in the beginning, when you're first dating them, you don't realize it because they're not openly racist. On the contrary, they claim they're not racist. They claim to have friends that are non-white. I have black friends. I have friends that are Mexicans, Asians, etc. And in the beginning of these relationships, I was under the impression that the girlfriends that I was dating, the white girlfriends, were not bigots in the beginning. Like this one in particular in the video, I ain't really got to say much because it speaks for itself. So I'll share the experience with the other 2. Now, mind you, I dated white girls when I was really young. This one when I was 16, so I was a kid. So the second white girl that I dated, she was 24 years of age. She was older than me. And she had 3 kids by 2 different guys. Her first kid, she had it with a white guy. And then her 2 other little daughters, she had them with a Salvadorian guy. And while I was dating her, I used to come to her apartment and hang out. And of course, her kids would always be there. And I noticed that whenever her white son did something wrong, broke the rules, whatever, she would sit with him and patiently teach him how what he did was wrong and why. She was very patient with him. She was doing a great job educating this kid. That was her white son, the son that she had with a white man. But then when the 2 other kids that she had with a Salvadorian guy, when those kids broke the rules, misbehaved, she would never say anything to them. She would grab their hands and really, really hard. And the first time that I witnessed that, I didn't say anything, but I was very uncomfortable watching this. However, when I got comfortable after a couple of days of coming over and I witnessed her doing this again, I said something. And this is when I learned that I was dating a bigot. I said to her, how come when your son misbehaves or does something wrong, you never hit him? You sit down with him and educate him and teach him how it's wrong. But then when the 2 little girls misbehave or do something wrong, you say nothing. You just beat the hell out of them. And this is what she said. Because my son is white and those 2 little girls are Salvadorian. And I said, I don't get it. What's that got to do with anything? And she said, white people, we know how to behave. But Salvadorians, have you seen the way they are? These people are savages. I would never be able to educate my daughters like the way that I educate my son. Because it's in the DNA of these people to act like this. You cannot educate, you cannot speak to them and teach them. You have to beat them until they understand. And I said, oh, so this is in their DNA. And she said, absolutely. And I said, so what's in the DNA of white people? And this is exactly what she said. She said, royalty is in our DNA. We come from queens and kings. I'm Mexican, but when you talk about a demographic of people that phenotypically resemble me, then you might as well be talking about me. So not only did I identify bigotry, but this was now personal against people that look like me. You have racist views against people that look like me, yet you're dating me. You're having kids with people that look like me. Why would he even have kids with us if you feel like this about us? Why don't you stick with your royalty? So although at this time I was very young, younger than her, and young enough to where I wasn't able to understand what I understand now. However, although young and not as informed, I still identified the bigotry, the white supremacy in her ideology and views. And because of that, I disappeared. Now the third and final white girl that I dated, I was still really young. She was a very, very outgoing girl. If you hung out with her just one day and you witnessed and experienced her personality, her humor, she was a very outgoing girl. There is absolutely no way, no way this person could be a bigot. She was a sweetheart, super sweet, kind, very friendly. There was not a racist bone in this girl's body. No way. If anybody ever came around trying to hate, trying to give me some gossip about her, oh, she's this, she's that, I don't think so. I know her. Well, anyway, one day I came to pick her up and I was outside waiting. So when she comes out, normally, because she's very outgoing, she'd come kind of like, being silly. But this time, she came a little, she looked gloomy, maybe even sad. She hopped in the car and I asked, something wrong? And because I already shared this story in a previous video, I'm not going to tell the full version. You're just going to have to watch my other video. So long story short, I convinced her to tell me what's the matter. And she said, Ricardo, I'm not racist, but... Now, mind you, she was a white girl, and she lived in a predominantly white neighborhood. No non-white people in sight. In fact, I was hesitant to come around and pick her up. Normally, she'd come over to my town, and we'd hang out in my town. I hesitated. I told her, I don't want to go over there where you live. But anyway, I digress. We're sitting in her car, and she says, Ricardo, I'm not racist, but... Whenever they say that, I'm not racist, but... Brace yourself, because they're about to say some racist shit. I'm not racist, but there's a black family that just moved into our neighborhood. That's what she said. And I looked over to her. It's like, so? And she says, I have nothing against those people. Nothing. You know me. I have black friends. And she did. She, in fact, did. So she says, I have black friends, but can't they just stay in their neighborhoods? And I said, well, what's wrong with them? And she says, well, you know how they are. And anyway, long story short, pew, I disappeared. And this is the cherry on top, by the way. When I broke up with her, we were still friends on Facebook. So I still got to see her posts, etc. And all of a sudden, she starts posting videos and blogs expressing how much she can't stand Mexican people and how she wants them out of here, legal or not. And I looked at these posts like, why do these people date us when they hate us? Why do they have children with us when they feel superior than us and they look down on us? Does anybody have an answer for these questions? Why do they date us but they hate us? Why do they have children with us but look down on us? Please, by all means, share it in the comment section. But aside from that, I find it even more confusing when I learn that non-white people, we become interested in a white person and eventually learn that this white person is a bigot. Their entire families don't like us, and yet we still go ahead with the relationship. We still go ahead and have children with them, setting ourselves up so that our kids are not welcomed over there, setting ourselves up so that their own white mothers could discriminate against their own half white children. The level of self-hate that we have to have and suffer from to go ahead with this relationship, with this marriage, with this building of a family, with a people that don't like us is
You know what I'm gonna say?
Watch Fight Land.
Watch Fight Land. Fight Land. Fight Land.
Now on Star.
He's a filthy filthy fucking nigger.
But you call all of us niggers.
No, I didn't. I called him a nigger for acting like a fuck.
If your lawyer took 40% of the money you got after a car accident.
But that's not what's happening, Dan. That's not what's happening.